and therefore can be managed to help reduce harmful amounts of carbon in the atmosphere. For example, recent EPA estimates of U.S. greenhouse gas markets indicate U.S. farms and forests have the potential to mitigate 10 to 25% of our nation's climate impact with practices such as soil carbon sequestration, methane capture, and forest management practices. That's significant. So significant that it is recognized in the draft that Chairman Markey and Chairman Waxman have put forward. A lot of details to fill in. But I think they know from a policy standpoint, given these statistics, but also from a political standpoint, they need to include offsets for agriculture and address forestry issues in this draft to be able to pass legislation out of the House. In particular, forests, when managed properly, both prevent and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Forests can prevent greenhouse gas emissions through at least 3 practices: by substituting wood for fossil fuel intensive products, by substituting woody biomass for traditional fossil fuel energy, and by managing forests to prevent wildland fires. Furthermore, forests can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by sequestering atmospheric carbon and biomass in soil. And as anyone in the forest products industry knows, the carbon can remain in stored wood products even once the trees are harvested. So when we turn to climate change policy, the agricultural and forestry sectors can play a significant role on at least 2 fronts: the offset market and the energy market. First, with regard to offsets, I believe that as we develop climate change policy, we must include ag and forestry stakeholders in the legislative process. To this end, I've been proactive over the last year and a half in bringing representatives of the agricultural sector together to examine how best to craft a carbon sequestration offset program to maximize agriculture's participation, to look at the potential impact of a mandatory program on agricultural inputs, and to evaluate the potential benefits of a cap-and-trade system to agriculture and to those that live in rural America. I've also engaged with my House colleagues, including House leadership, to make sure they understand the role that our ag products and forestry can play as part of a solution to climate change. I hope you know, I'm sure you do, and you're similarly encouraged by the fact that House Agriculture Committee Chairman Colin Peterson intends to move aggressively to address climate change legislation in our committee. And a recent announcement that the House Ag Committee is currently in the process of conducting surveys of 400 groups for ways that American farmers can make money from efforts to control greenhouse gases. Now, I agree with your coalition's carbon policy primer discussion draft that we've had a chance to review, where it states that the mitigation opportunities in agriculture offer some of the most cost-effective options for reductions anywhere in the economy, especially through soil sequestration activities such as no-till, manure incorporation, and planting winter cover crops. Agricultural offsets are the key to ensuring that the problem of carbon in the atmosphere doesn't get worse while we develop and deploy new technologies into coal plants and other facilities that supply us with other energy. As we move forward, we must ensure that we find a way to reward early actors who've already taken important steps. A lot of farmers who practice no-till. I think Randy Connect practices some no-till in South Dakota, as many farmers have been already participating in the voluntary market throughout the Great Plains. Now, the Waxman-Markey draft leaves many details of the offsets program to the purview of an advisory board. As rules are developed, we have to ensure that USDA has a role to play in overseeing the offsets program and in utilizing their more than 20 years of effective research in this area of climate change. And in a recent meeting with Secretary Vilsack, he assured me that the U.S. Forest Service was no longer going to be the neglected stepchild of the USDA, and that we will protect USDA's jurisdiction over our federal forests. Now, the draft also includes many important elements of a successful offsets program. They must be additional, adhere to credible greenhouse gas baselines, use only science-based measurements, account for leakages and reversals, permanence and durability, and preserve environmental integrity. So as the House works to pass new energy and climate change legislation to meet our national needs, we must insist that rural America be recognized as having much to offer, and in my opinion, may very well play a deciding role in whether energy and climate legislation is able to pass the House, as I just mentioned. Moreover, I believe that the way that legislation approaches the use of woody biomass will be important for the outcome.